Alright guys, so taking a look at the Ehang GHOSTDRONE 2.0 VR. So this is the box that it comes in here. You can see what the app looks like from the picture on the box actually. We'll try to get into that a little bit more. You have your charger here. Your actual battery for your GHOSTDRONE plugs in right there. You have a USB port on the side. That is for charging your goggles. The cord right here is detachable, and it goes inside of here along with the USB cable, and in here you get some extra components, screws, and some dampeners for the gimbal. You get your little tool for changing out and tightening screws, and for changing out the propellers. This helps to hold down the motors when you're changing the propeller. This little thing just wraps up. Looks all, looks really nice. Holds it really well. You have a set of propellers, which I've already installed on the drone. You have an extra set here. I took out two just so you can see. There's a silver and there's a black. That corresponds with silver and black on the actual motors. You'll see that when you go to connect it. They have the indicator on it to tell you which way to turn. One turns one turns the other way. Tightens it up. You have your empty boxes now, but you have your prop guard box here. You have a data pack here, which just contains a lot of different information, user manuals and things of that nature. Over there, that's the box the charger comes in. Then you have your Fpv goggles. With these goggles, there are two antennas. They are detachable. They are labeled, so very easy. There's a strap that goes around the back of your head, one that goes over your head. All Velcro adjustments. The glasses themselves have a nice little rubber piece. They're actually pretty comfortable. And you can see the battery percentage on the actual goggles of the charge on the goggles. The app will report the charge for your actual drone. You have your power button, channel search, and your view switch. This lets you go from FPV view to looking through the camera on the front right here on the actual goggles. You also have a menu, plus and minus for navigating the menu and such on this end. Now, the only issue I've really come to notice with the goggles in terms of design and functionality, the camera doesn't work too well in sunlight, gets washed out pretty easily, and the charging port is on the bottom here, but the charging indicator is a flashing red light on the top that goes off when charged. Charging takes a little over an hour right at, and when you plug them in, you've got a cable sticking out here, and then you've got this here. So it should be on the side, not on the bottom, because then you can't lay the goggles flat and see the actual charging status. So that was kind of a poorly thought out plan in terms of connectivity. The actual GHOSTDRONE battery itself, that also takes about an hour to charge. You have blue propellers, you have white propellers. You can update the firmware now through wireless, or you can plug it in. There is a USB port on the drone itself. The prop guards, your choice if you fly them or not. I'll probably be removing them soon. The battery clips in and out very easily. We'll look at that a little bit more. It's a smart battery. Gives you a lot of different readouts. Gives you an indicator on charging, percentage-wise and time remaining. It has a 4K camera. Takes 12 megapixel pictures. Comes with a, I believe, 16 gig SD card if I recall. It was a Samsung brand, so it's not a generic one, which is actually very nice. And it actually works quite well. With the goggles, you have the option to turn the camera up or down, but not side to side. Or you can switch to using the telephone, the app on the phone, or tablet or whatever, and that will allow you also to do the up and down, but you don't have side to side. In order to do that, you have to use the actual app. Now, that is my biggest issue. I love the drone. It's fun to play with. It's almost impossible to crash. I've had no issues whatsoever, no near crashes at all. Pretty much anyone can fly it. But when you're wearing the goggles and you want to look at where your drone is, switching view sometimes between cameras, you really can't see very well, like I said, in the sunlight. So you end up having to move the goggles, and if you move the goggles up, then of course your camera is going to go up if you have it set that way, and your video is not going to be very good. You're going to have a lot of up and down, and you're going to have a lot of head movement with that. So whether you use that or not, it's going to be up to you. But I find it very difficult to focus on an object without a lot of movement, and you can't see the controls on the phone and know what you're touching when you are looking at the first person view. So it makes it really difficult if you're using the touch-based controls. There are other options with the controls where you can, navigate with the phone by moving the phone, right, left, forward, back, and control the phone. So you'll have to get used to things depending upon what works best for you. So what I'm going to try to do today is I'm going to try to hook this up so you guys can take a look and see the first person point of view, see it flying. I've had no, like I said, near crashes or issues with this. The charger gets a little bit warm but not hot, so I'm not really worried about that. Like I said, there is a percentage on the battery, and it does show you like a countdown for charging purposes. Let's see. The video records at, I believe, 29.97 frames per second. There is no option to change that I have seen. There is a menu in the goggles. I haven't went through that, and I'm going to explore that more, so I may be adding to this at some point in the future. But I did read somewhere at one point that it was a 4K at 30 frames a second or 1080p at 60. But there's no way to change the camera from what I'm being told by Ehang. So I'm going to have to look through the menu and find more options. You have a 93-degree field of view, so you don't have that ridiculous fisheye look, which actually in some cases looks cool, but sometimes it's pretty ridiculous looking, depending on what you're actually shooting. You can go around 20-25 miles per hour in wind, but your battery life will decrease. Another thing about the battery is it's rated, I believe, for about 25 minutes, but that's not realistic from what I've found, especially on a windy day. Today it's a little windier than I wanted, and it's also not as sunny as I'd like. You really get closer to about 15 minutes, and when the battery starts getting around 30%, that's when you need to start reeling it in. And once it gets a little bit lower than that, it wants to kind of take itself back home and prepare for landing and such. The follow me function, where it follows you like exactly what it says, works great. You can tap on a place on the map, hit go, it will go. Very easy, works very well. Just a lot of really fun capabilities with this, and there's a lot of things that I won't get into on the video because I don't have time, but there's a lot of things that I could suggest as far as features and all that could be added that probably wouldn't be too difficult to implement, that would really improve this a great deal. And one of my biggest complaints is the camera. I don't know if you see this, but the camera basically sits on the ground, so if the lens happens to turn downward or you're looking downward when you're landing with first person point of view, you could scratch your lens. So I don't know why it hangs down so low, but with the GoPro it's not much of a problem. My buddy has one that has the GoPro, but with this camera it basically sits on the ground, so it doesn't really stay protected the way that it should, and there's a potential for damage. So you want to take off from the smoothest possible surface. Watch when you're setting the camera or the drone down so the camera is not damaged, and obviously take off from the flattest surface possible so that the drone doesn't get out of control and tip itself over and crash. Okay, so we'll see what we can do about taking a look at some flight video, and there's probably going to be a link or mention of link in the review text portion so that you can go and check out some YouTube information where the videos are longer and hopefully better quality as well. Alright, thanks.